"You're an embarrassment, don't come home." That was my father's last text before Mom's birthday dinner. He didn't even call. Just those 6 words. No please, no explanation, just exile in a sentence. "Hi everyone, my name is Clara Wynn, I'm 26. And apparently my family's favorite scapegoat. Funny thing? I used to think silence was peace. Now I know, sometimes it's punishment." That morning I stood in front of my closet holding the gift I'd spent 2 weeks saving for. A soft silk shawl, Mom's favorite color, seafoam green. My hands trembled not because I couldn't afford it, but because I knew she'd never see it. Dad had made sure of that. He said my presence ruined the mood. That my sister, Amelia, didn't want me there to start drama. Right. Because when Amelia crashed my car, lied about it and made me pay the insurance, I was dramatic for crying. Because when Dad handed her my college fund for her new business, I was ungrateful for asking why. That's the thing about being the family scapegoat, they train you to doubt your own pain. So that night while they gathered at the country club, I sat on my porch with a blanket around my shoulders, watching the candle burn down on Mom's untouched cake. I promised myself something quietly, no more begging for a seat at their table. If they thought I was an embarrassment, fine. I'd give them something to be embarrassed about. A week later my phone buzzed. Amelia had posted the birthday party photos. Champagne, gold balloons, her perfect red dress and Dad's proud smile. But my eyes froze on the man beside her, the one with his arm around her waist. Nathan Cross. My lead project manager. My top employee. The man who had signed a 3-year contract with me. I stared at the caption. Best birthday ever, and best man ever. My heartbeat slowed. My world didn't shatter. It sharpened. They'd mocked me for being a disappointment. Now the man they toasted as family would soon call me something else. Boss. And when that day came, I promised myself I'd make sure everyone remembered how it felt. If this ever happened to you, say same in the comments. When I walked into the office Monday morning, the air felt heavier, like everyone already knew something I didn't. Nathan looked up from his desk, surprise flickering in his eyes before he quickly masked it. "Clara," he said carefully, straightening his tie. "I didn't expect you in today." I smiled. "Why?" "Because you were busy dating my sister over the weekend." The room went still. One of the interns stopped typing. Someone dropped a pen. Nathan's jaw clenched and he glanced around like a man standing on a live wire. "Look," he began, "I was going to tell you." "Save it," I cut in. My voice was steady, calmer than I felt. "You're free to date whoever you want. Just not while managing the account that funds her father's company." His face drained of color. Because now he realized, I wasn't the family embarrassment here. I was the CEO. And his contract had an ironclad ethics clause. Later that afternoon I called a meeting with the board. Quiet room, glass walls and every eye on me. "I've received a conflict of interest report," I said, sliding Nathan's file across the table. "Effective immediately, he'll be reassigned pending review." He didn't even try to argue. He knew the rules. But what he didn't know was that Amelia had texted me the night before. A drunk, sloppy message. "Can't wait to see your face when you find out who I'm dating," winking face. So I sent her something back. Just a screenshot of his employment ID. No caption. No explanation. Silence. The same weapon they once used against me. And when Dad called that night shouting that I'd humiliated the family, I finally smiled and said, "Not yet, Dad. Not yet." By Thursday, whispers had spread. The family's black sheep had embarrassed the golden daughter's boyfriend at work. Good. Let them talk. I sat in my glass office overlooking the city, scrolling through numbers that no one in my family ever bothered to understand. Every contract. Every transfer. Every favor Dad had pulled through my company without ever thanking me. 4 years I'd been the silent investor in his little empire. The same empire that kept Amelia in luxury handbags and spa retreats. He called it family cooperation. I called it what it was, exploitation wrapped in love. That evening Nathan showed up outside my office door. "Clara, please," he said quietly, "this wasn't supposed to happen like this. I didn't even know Amelia was your sister at first." "Yet you stayed once you did," I replied. He exhaled, guilt softening his voice. "She told me you didn't talk to your family. I didn't realize." I leaned back in my chair. "That they used me as their personal ATM?" Or that I built the company your girlfriend brags about owning shares in? His silence was answer enough. Before he left, I handed him a sealed envelope. What's this? He asked. Your final evaluation, I said. And a choice. Inside was a clause allowing him to either finish his contract ethically, or terminate it early with no recommendation. He took it, eyes conflicted, and walked out. When he reached the elevator, I whispered to myself, loyalty's a strange thing. It looks a lot like love until it's tested. That night, Amelia's posts turned bitter. Some people can't stand seeing others happy, she wrote. I didn't reply. I simply liked the post, from my verified account. By Saturday morning, Dad called again, his voice already raised before I could even say hello. What the hell did you do, Clara? Nathan's contract suspension embarrassed us in front of everyone. Do you know how that looks for your sister? I leaned against the counter, sipping my coffee. Probably the same way it looked when you called me an embarrassment. There was silence on the other end, the heavy kind that tells you you've hit a nerve. Then his tone changed. You've made your point. Now fix it. Rehire him and apologize to your sister at dinner tonight. Dinner. I repeated, laughing under my breath. You want me to show up uninvited again? You're still family, he snapped. I smiled faintly. You made it clear I wasn't. I hung up before he could respond. For the first time, I didn't feel guilt. I felt control. Around noon, Nathan showed up again, this time in plain clothes, looking tired. Clara, he said softly, I turned down Amelia's invitation to dinner. I'm sorry. I didn't know how deep this went. Deep, I said, crossing my arms. You're dining with the people who used me for years. That's not deep. That's deliberate. He hesitated. I'm resigning, he said finally. But I'd like to finish what I started. The launch. The project you trusted me with. Something in his tone, steady, remorseful, made me pause. Do it right, I said. And when it's done, we're even. He nodded and left. That night I saw the family dinner photo online. My empty chair replaced with Nathan's. Dad beaming. Mom pretending. Amelia glowing. And yet, there was a hollowness behind their smiles. They didn't know it yet, but the foundation under them was mine, and it had already begun to crack. Part 5. The next week I visited Mom's house for the first time in months. Not because they invited me, but because I had business. Literally. The deed to their house, the loan refinances, the renovation permits. All of it tied back to my company's investments. Dad used my corporate account as collateral years ago, telling me it was temporary. I'd let it slide then, thinking that was what good daughters did. Not anymore. I walked into the living room and Mom looked up from her tea, startled. Clara, you shouldn't be here. Your father. I know, I said quietly, setting down a brown envelope. This isn't personal. It's financial. Dad stormed in a moment later, red-faced. What are you trying to pull now? I handed him the letter. A notice of separation. From now on, all properties under my name, including this one, are legally detached from your business account. He froze, scanning the papers. You can't. I already did, I said, calm as stone. For years they told me I was ungrateful. Difficult. But now that coldness was my strength. I'm not ruining the family, I continued. I'm just taking back what's mine. Amelia appeared at the top of the stairs, her voice sharp. You think this makes you powerful? You're pathetic. You'll always be the outsider. I looked at her, smiling faintly. Funny. My outsider signature owns your engagement ring. Her face fell. Because I'd bought the company that made it, last quarter. Quietly. Strategically. Dad slammed the table, shaking with anger. You've lost your mind. No, I said softly, stepping back toward the door. I just stopped losing to yours. And as I left, I heard Mom whisper, almost trembling. What have we done? The fallout came faster than I expected. 2 days later, the bank called my father. The loans under his name were frozen pending review, the same ones he'd used my company assets to secure. He showed up at my office without warning, red-faced and sweating through his suit. Clara, we need to talk. I looked up from my desk, expression calm. I'm in a meeting, Dad. He slammed his palm on the table. You can't do this to your own family. I leaned forward, my tone quiet but sharp. You did this to yourself. You used me as collateral. Now I'm just collecting the debt. His voice broke, anger giving way to something like fear. Do you even realize what you've done? The house, your mother, will lose everything. I hesitated just for a breath. Then said, everything you built on my back doesn't belong to you. He left without another word. For hours afterward I just sat there staring at the empty doorway. My heart was steady, but somewhere deep, a small ache pressed against my ribs. The kind that comes from remembering who you used to want to save. That night Amelia called. Her tone was venom wrapped in silk. You think this makes you better than me? No, I said softly. Just freer. Then she dropped the line that almost made me laugh. Well, enjoy your little victory. Because Nathan's still with me. I smiled into the darkness. Then I guess you'll both be surprised tomorrow. Because tomorrow, the press release would go public. The project Nathan had led, the one he'd built from scratch, would officially launch. And the company name printed on every banner wasn't my father's anymore. It was mine. The next morning I arrived at the launch event early, before the cameras, before the speeches, before the chaos. The venue smelled like new paint and anticipation. Rows of seats lined up perfectly, banners fluttering above the stage. Win Industries, independent, innovative, unstoppable. When Dad walked in and saw the name, his steps faltered. What is this? He demanded. Ownership change, I said. As of midnight, your company merged into mine. Legally, you no longer hold controlling interest. His face went pale. You manipulated this. I protected what's mine, I interrupted. Use my name. My assets. My staff. I simply reclaimed them. Then Amelia arrived, heels clicking, Nathan just behind her looking conflicted. She scanned the banners, realization dawning. You stole this from us, she hissed. No, I said calmly. I built this while you were too busy taking pictures. Before she could speak again, the press entered. Cameras flashed. The PR coordinator called, Miss Wynne, we're ready for you. For a second Amelia thought they meant her. She took a step forward. But every lens turned toward me. I walked to the podium, the applause echoing like distant thunder. I talked about resilience, integrity, rebuilding what others tried to break. Nathan stood at the back, frozen. When it ended, he approached slowly. Clara, you did it. I looked at him, not with anger but closure. You helped build something real. I won't forget that. He nodded. Amelia's leaving. She doesn't want to face anyone. I met his eyes. Neither does my father. That's the thing about truth. It strips comfort first. As I left the stage, I could feel the room still watching me. Not the embarrassment anymore, but the architect of her own freedom. That night, I drove past my parents' house. Quiet now, lights off, the gate rusted slightly from neglect. For years, that house had been my measure of worth. Every raised voice, every slammed door, every word that made me smaller, all happened inside those walls. Now it was just an address. A symbol of everything I'd finally outgrown. Mom opened the door slowly when she saw me on the porch. Her eyes were tired, softer than I remembered. Clara, she whispered. I'm not here to fight, I said gently. I came to leave this. I placed a small box in her hands, the seafoam green shawl I'd bought months ago. It was supposed to be your birthday gift, I said. You can still have it. Tears filled her eyes, and for a moment, I almost saw the mother I'd loved before the manipulation and silence. Your father, she began, her voice trembling. He's ashamed. He didn't know it would go this far. I nodded slowly. Neither did I. But maybe it had to. From the hallway behind her, I heard Dad's voice, quiet for once. Claire, I'm sorry. I looked at him, the man who'd called me an embarrassment, and felt nothing but calm. You don't have to be sorry, I said. Just stop pretending you didn't know what you did. As I turned to leave, I felt the wind shift. Soft, clean, final. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking away from them. I was walking toward myself. Later that week, the press called it a bold corporate reclamation. But to me, it was something simpler. The moment I stopped waiting for family to see my worth and decided to live it instead. Because sometimes, revenge isn't fire. It's freedom.